I put 4 TVs side by side so that I can help you determine which TV is going to be the right one for you at the end of the day. And really, we try to factor in a whole bunch of things here. I factor in the price, I factor in the budget, and I factor in the performance. So hopefully by the time we get to the end of the video, you'll realize which one is going to be the right one for you and which one really makes sense for your price and budget. And if you end up getting any of these TVs, I would appreciate if you use my links in the description below. These are affiliate links and they will help out the channel. So thank you guys so much. Alright, now let's go through the lineup and talk about what TVs I'm using for this example. So the first TV that I'm using is a Samsung QN90B Neo QLED TV. It's an LCD based TV. It's a mini LED technology. And honestly, this TV blew me away when I first saw it. Out of the box, this TV was fantastic, and I really didn't have too many complaints for this TV. Yes, there was some blooming, but that's just typical for any LCD. It definitely has the least amount of blooming of any LCD TV that's 4K on the market right now. Now, the next TV we're talking about is the Samsung S95B QD OLED. This TV is fantastic. There is not much really bad things you can say about this TV other than it's a little bit buggy at launch, and some of that stuff may not even creep up on most users. In fact, I haven't really experienced too many bugs myself. So this is going to be one of the things where I do think with time the TV will improve. And we've already seen evidence of this by seeing a firmware update that completely changed the way filmmaker mode works. So if you're somebody who watches movies, that might be the way you want to go if you're looking for the creator's intent. Alright, so let's move on to the next TV, the 2021 Bravia XR A80J OLED. This is going to be the only 2021 TV in this lineup, but we're just going to use it because this is actually my home TV. This is what I use in my room, so that's why it's in this comparison, because it's just a 77-inch TV that's kind of in the middle of the room already, so I figured, hey, let's just throw it in there. This TV is great, and for the price that you can get it at right now, I believe it's $25.99 for the same 77-inch that we're using today. That's fantastic, and I can't recommend this TV enough. So anyway, that TV sort of speaks for itself. Let's go to the next TV, the LG C2 55-inch OLED. Now, new for 2022 is the brightness booster technology with the new dynamic tone mapping. Now, the way that you could see a difference between this C2 TV and last year's C1 is going to only really be through dynamic tone mapping. If you don't use dynamic tone mapping, the C1 and the C2 look virtually identical, and most of the time that has been the case. So again, if you're not going to use this dynamic tone mapping feature, you're most likely going to be better off getting an LG C1 and saving some money if this is the route you want to go when it's all said and done. Now, let's talk about the performance of all of these TVs in different categories, because I think that's a fun way to do it, so let's just do it that way. Alright, so before I start, I want to specify that this is going to be a very subjective video. It's going to be from my personal preference, and I am a picture pop person. There's no doubt about that, and I want you to know that, and I want to be clear on that, okay? So accuracy is not what I'm focusing on. Now, I did my best to try to match these up fairly and put them in a mode that would kind of give you the best look at what you would get for out-of-the-box performance. Now, keep in mind, with panel variants and all that stuff, it's so hard to match these things up, because at the end of the day, while I'm not going for picture accuracy, I still want it to be as fair as I can possibly make it out of the box. So that's why I put them all in the same modes so that we could see sort of a fair look. Now, it's going to be very hard to judge on YouTube, so just listen to what I have to say on this subject. Alright, first I want to talk about the picture processing on all 4 of these TVs, and then give you who I think is the best at that. The thing I'm going to look at is not only just upscaling, but how the whole entire processing is handled itself. They all do their own thing. They all handle it differently. They all have different algorithms. Now, I will say that when it comes to upscaling, the best is going to be the Sony A80J, with the Samsung S95B coming in second and the QN90B coming in third. And then we have the LG C2 coming in fourth. And I judge upscaling based on low resolution. All of the 3 TVs that are in the first row, well, those are doing fine. The LG C2 kind of just gives you the source more so as it is, so it's doing less enhancing, so you'll see things like text appear a little bit blurrier than those other three. Now this does come at a cost, because while it is smoother with things like text, when it comes to low bitrate content, which you shouldn't be running into too much of, but if you do happen to run into it, you will notice that it sort of is a little blurry looking at times, and that is probably because there is some enhancement going on behind the scenes with the processing, and that just does not act right with the low bitrate content. So that's something you want to keep in mind if you're somebody who watches low bitrate content. Now, I want to caution you that low bitrate content and low resolution content is not the same thing, because the Samsung actually handles low resolution content really well. It's just low bitrate content when you're having bandwidth issues, or when you're being throttled by your ISP or your streaming service. That's when you run into issues. Now, so that's something that you have to really know and be clear on going into the Samsung TVs. You know, I could talk about processing all day. I find this stuff really fascinating, that you can watch these TVs all day long and see different examples and different things that they're doing. And really, when it comes to processing, I haven't seen too many examples where the Sony was lacking in that area. So I do give the win to the Sony TV here. The A80J was the clear winner for processing in my mind. The upscaling was just fantastic, and then when you factor in that you have a slew of options to take advantage of the processor, like reality creation, then, well, that's where you get the dub. Number 2 and 3, I gave it to the Samsung, because when we're talking about upscaling, that is a big thing with the processor. To me, Samsung's processing is very close to what Sony's processing does. I just give the edge to Sony because of things like reality creation, and Samsung got really close, especially with their upscaling. And I have to say, that is more effort than I've seen from LG when it comes to upscaling. I think that the upscaling has always been third place for LG, and so that makes sense that it came in fourth here for these examples. So yeah, there's no doubt about it in my mind. It goes Sony, Samsung, LG in terms of processing. I think Samsung made some really good strides to get really close to Sony. Honestly, LG made some good strides as well from last year, but it's still just not on the same level as Samsung and Sony. Maybe next year, that would be really cool to see. I'm hoping LG listens to the feedback from the community and really bumps up their processing, because I do want to see them succeed in that area. The better LG can get there, the more competition, and that's just great for everybody. All right, let's move on to gaming. Now, gaming, I think all 4 of these TVs are great for gaming. When it came down to picture quality, though, it was the S95B pulling ahead in game mode for all of these TVs. It gave you a real good fine mix of picture quality, depth, and gave you the picture pop that you desire from a game mode. And honestly, everybody, just about everybody who has seen this game mode has loved it. And the only downside, and really I don't consider this a downside, is that it's not accurate. And for me, I don't really care if it's accurate or not. It looks freaking great, and that's all that I care about. And really everybody, well, just about everybody who has seen this in game mode, they love it, and there has been no complaints from people who are playing these games and enjoying them. So if you just want a game mode that is just gonna pop right out of the box, it's gonna look amazing, you just have to change a few settings, this is gonna be great. Like, people, you are probably gonna love this TV even if you make no adjustments to it. It's just one of those things that I feel like the S95B was made for gaming. QN90B is close too, to be honest with you. For an LCD TV, it gets closer to OLED than I've ever seen before. I was very impressed with the QN90B. It does still fall behind the S95B though, because there are some limitations when we're talking about gaming in terms of being able to take advantage of the full brightness range on the QN90B. You still are going to get some scenes that are going to be brighter on the QN90B, but it was far less than I hoped for. Honestly, I really was hoping that we would see some examples where the QN90B really pulled ahead in terms of brightness, but honestly, the S95B just kept up with it, and for most scenes, it looked almost identical, if not better. Now in third place, I put the A80J. It really is a fantastic looking gaming TV. And there are some downsides with the ASBL dimming, and you'll notice this if you are staying in the same area or if you're in a very similar area for a very long time. But if you're switching scenes constantly within your game and it's just always moving, then you're probably not going to run into this issue very much. And that's really the biggest negative on this Sony TVs. And the other negative is going to be that the input lag is just a little bit higher than LG and Samsung. So and LG and Samsung are pretty similar when it comes to the response time and the feel, the input lag. That's all going to be really great for shooters and competitive gaming. And I think that's really where you'll see the impact on the Sony. But even then, I can play this game with Call of Duty just fine and be able to play faster paced games just fine. That's not really an issue for me with the A80J. And I do think that they have some of the best picture clarity when it comes to gaming. And in picture quality wise, I do think it is going to be better than the LG C2 or C1. And I really noticed that when they were side by side, that I still would rather have the A80J when it's all said and done. Now, if the G2 was fixed, I think maybe I would pick the G2, but right now G2 has a serious problem with HDR gaming that I don't even recommend it to people unless there's somebody who just uses dynamic tone mapping on. Alright, summing up these TVs, what's the best TV out of all four? Well, to me, it's the S95B. It is the clear winner in my opinion, and I've been saying this for a while now that the S95B QD OLED is the best TV that you can buy right now, at least until the A95K comes out to challenge it, because right now, it is the clear winner, and it is going to beat most of the TVs you put it up against. Does that mean that it's far and away going to be the best choice for everybody? I don't believe so. No, I think that if you're owning your first OLED and you only have a certain budget range, you're absolutely fine getting either the LG C1 or a Sony A80J. Now, that's all just going to depend on what you want, and really even the QN90A, if you want a really big TV, that 85-inch QN90A price right now is looking very tempting. So you're going to have to weigh the pros and cons and see what you need at the end of the day. If you want far and away the best TV, and you're in that 55-65-inch TV range, then the S95B is going to be the TV for you. Now, if you're not quite ready to spend that much money or you want a bigger TV, it's okay. Like, I think these TVs that are just under it are still very good TVs. And if you really just want to wait for a 77-inch QD OLED next year, I think there's nothing wrong with waiting if you have a good TV already. Alright, well, hopefully this video helped you out a lot, and if it did, please give a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more videos just like this. I'll be doing a review on the A95K in July, so stay tuned for that, and I'll put it side by side to the S95B because we gotta see who was the king of the QD OLEDs this year. Now, if you want to watch a direct comparison between the S95B and the C2, I have that right here. And I also have an S95B versus QN90B video right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.